Picture this, you're looking up at the night sky, the same stars humanity has admired for thousands of years, when suddenly something enters our cosmic neighborhood, something no one expected. In 2017, telescopes captured an object racing through our solar system, and right away, nothing about it made sense. It wasn't shaped like anything we'd seen before, it didn't behave like an ordinary comet or asteroid, and it left scientists around the world speechless. Doesn't it give you chills to think the universe might have just dropped a clue right at our doorstep? This wasn't just another rock tumbling in space, it was the first confirmed visitor from another star system. A messenger, if you will, carrying secrets from far beyond our reach. But the deeper scientists looked, the stranger it became. Was it a natural traveler, or could it be something designed? Have you ever felt that gut-deep curiosity that keeps you awake at night, knowing the answer could change everything? That's exactly what Oumuamua brought to humanity. And here's the truth, this story is more than just science. It's about imagination, culture, and the questions that unite us all. Because whether you believe Oumuamua was a comet, an asteroid, or something else entirely, one thing is undeniable, it forced us to ask, what if we're not alone? So stick with me, hit subscribe, like, and share this video, because you're about to dive into one of the most fascinating mysteries the cosmos has ever handed us. No one forgot the day telescopes caught sight of something strange cutting across space, like an uninvited guest crashing a party. Oumuamua appeared in 2017, sweeping through our solar system with a shape and behavior that made even the most skeptical scientists scratch their heads. But what exactly was it? A comet, an asteroid, or something far beyond human imagination? When we look at the sky, we're always searching for answers, but this time it felt like the universe itself was tossing us a riddle. And let's be honest, who hasn't wondered if something up there might be carrying a hidden message? Don't forget to hit subscribe, drop a like, and share this video, because this story will spark your curiosity like never before. At first glance, astronomers thought Oumuamua was just a comet. After all, aren't comets the usual visitors, leaving behind trails of dust and frozen gas? But soon the narrative began to crumble. The object showed no tail, no gas escaping, nothing that matched the comet playbook. It was like staring at a candle with no flame. Telescopes revealed something off-script, almost like nature was bending its own rules. Have you ever faced something that didn't behave the way it was supposed to? That's exactly the puzzle Oumuamua dropped in our laps. If it wasn't a comet, then maybe it was an asteroid, right? That was the next logical guess. But again, the pieces didn't fit. Oumuamua's stretched-out shape, compared by some to a giant cigar, by others to a pancake, looked nothing like the rocky chunks we've cataloged before. It was like stumbling upon a square stone in a river full of smooth pebbles. Doesn't it make you wonder what else could be out there, completely different from what we expect? That odd shape kept scientists awake at night, and honestly, who could blame them? For the public, that doubt lit a fire in the imagination. Every headline stoked more curiosity. What if this wasn't natural at all? After all, how many times has humanity gazed up at the stars and seen not just lights, but signs of something bigger? Haven't you ever felt that tingle of possibility that we're brushing against a secret meant to change everything? Oumuamua wasn't just an object anymore, it was turning into a symbol of mystery itself. The media didn't hold back. Cultural chatter exploded, painting Oumuamua as the first calling card of a faraway civilization. Movies, books, and yes, even memes, sprang up with the idea of a messenger from the stars. Sure, some dismissed it as fantasy, but come on, who doesn't enjoy entertaining the thought that someone out there might be reaching out? It's like hearing a strange knock on your door in the middle of the night. Do you dismiss it as the wind, or open the door just in case? Scientists, meanwhile, tried to keep their feet on the ground. Many argued there was no hard evidence to support the alien ship hypothesis. But science also has to admit when something doesn't fit neatly into its categories, right? The lack of a clear explanation made the mystery even juicier. Doesn't it feel strange when the experts say, "We don't know"? It's a reminder that even our brightest minds can hit a wall, and maybe that wall is hiding something extraordinary. So Oumuamua wasn't just a space rock, it was a mirror reflecting our biggest questions. If it was a comet, it broke the rules. If it was an asteroid, its shape defied logic. And if it was a ship, well, that would rewrite history as we know it. What matters most is that its arrival cracked open a door, pointing us towards something even more mysterious, the strangest shape ever seen drifting through the cosmos. But pause for a second, have you ever wondered how many more secrets are floating out there, just waiting for us to notice? Imagine looking through a telescope and spotting something that doesn't look like anything else you've ever seen before. That was the case with Oumuamua's bizarre shape. Some scientists said it looked like a stretched-out cigar, thin and elongated, slicing through the void. Others argued it was more like a pancake, flat and wide, spinning as it traveled. The truth? No one could quite agree. Isn't it wild how the same object can appear so different depending on the angle, almost like a cosmic optical illusion? Go ahead and subscribe, because the deeper we go, the stranger this story gets. Think about it, most asteroids and comets we've observed are potato-shaped, lumpy, and irregular. They're basically the leftovers of planet formation, chunks of rock and ice tumbling around for billions of years. But Oumuamua didn't fit that mold at all. Its extreme proportions, possibly 10 times longer than it was wide, made it unlike anything in our cosmic inventory. What would you think if you stumbled upon a key that didn't match any lock you've ever seen? Wouldn't you wonder what door it might open? That's the exact kind of question this shape raises. As if the geometry wasn't strange enough, Oumuamua also tumbled in a way that confused astronomers. Instead of spinning smoothly like a top, it wobbled unpredictably, almost like a bottle drifting in water. That motion made it even harder to pin down its true structure. Was it hollow? Was it fractured? Or was it something built, not born? Have you ever held an object and turned it around in your hand, realizing you can't quite figure out what it's for? That's what scientists were feeling on a planetary scale. The more we looked, the more bizarre it got. If it was a natural rock, how had it survived interstellar travel without breaking apart? And if it was icy, why wasn't it leaving a visible trail like comets do? The shape suggested something unusual, maybe even fragile, but the resilience it showed said otherwise. Doesn't it seem strange when two clues completely contradict each other? It's like reading a mystery novel where every chapter makes you question the last. And here, the universe was the author, and we were hooked on every page. Oumuamua's shape also fueled cultural fascination. People couldn't help but compare it to ships, sails, or even probes sent from another world. After all, nature doesn't usually carve out sharp, consistent forms on such a large scale. Haven't you ever spotted a cloud shaped like an animal and wondered if it was more than coincidence? That same playful, almost childlike curiosity was now applied to the universe's canvas. Only this time, the stakes felt much higher, because if the shape was artificial, then someone made it. Some experts suggested the shape might be the result of erosion, as the object traveled across galaxies for millions of years, losing mass until only its core remained. But even that theory struggled to explain its flatness or cigar-like body. It was as if Oumuamua carried scars from a journey no human could truly imagine. Don't you find it fascinating how every mark, every detail, might be telling a story we just don't know how to read yet? That's the beauty and frustration of cosmic mysteries, they whisper but never shout. So here we are, staring at the most mysterious shape ever seen in space, an object that refuses to fit neatly into any category. It's a reminder that the universe doesn't always play by the rules we've written in textbooks. And maybe, just maybe, that's its way of keeping us humble. But this was only the beginning, because the shape wasn't the only thing that baffled scientists. Soon, Oumuamua would do something even more shocking. It started to speed up, as if the laws of physics themselves were being bent. Now here's where things get really strange. As if Oumuamua's shape wasn't enough to raise eyebrows, astronomers noticed something that flat out broke the rules. The object was accelerating, moving faster than expected, without any visible cause. Normally, when comets speed up, it's because jets of gas are escaping, pushing them forward like a natural rocket engine. But Oumuamua had no visible jets, no tail, no evidence of gas at all. How could something move without a push? Haven't you ever wondered if the universe is hiding forces we simply don't understand? At first, scientists double-checked their instruments, thinking it might be an error in measurement. But no, the data was solid. Oumuamua wasn't just coasting, it was gaining speed as it left the solar system. That realization sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Picture dropping a ball and watching it fall upward instead of down. Wouldn't you start questioning everything you thought you knew about gravity? That's the same unsettling feeling astronomers had watching Oumuamua bend the laws of physics right before their eyes. Some theories tried to explain it in natural terms. Maybe Oumuamua had pockets of ice hidden beneath its surface, releasing gas in invisible ways. But even then, the acceleration pattern didn't match what comets usually do. It was too clean, too smooth, almost as if the push came from something controlled. Doesn't that make you think of a car suddenly accelerating, not because of the wind, but because someone pressed the gas pedal? The analogy feels almost too perfect, and that's what made the debate so fiery. Others proposed that Oumuamua could be covered in exotic materials we've never seen, substances that interact with sunlight in unexpected ways. Some even speculated about outgassing so faint it couldn't be detected with our tools. But here's the kicker, if it really was just natural, why was it the only object we've ever seen behave like this? Isn't it funny how one exception can make us rethink an entire set of rules? It's like finding one fish that can breathe air, it forces you to rewrite the biology book. The acceleration mystery also sparked analogies in popular culture. People compared Oumuamua to a sailboat catching wind, gliding through space with grace. That metaphor wasn't entirely far-fetched. Scientists began considering the possibility that Oumuamua might actually be propelled by something like a solar sail, a thin, reflective surface pushed by sunlight. Ever seen a kite suddenly lift with just the right gust? That same image echoed across science papers and news outlets, making the enigma even harder to ignore. Of course, skeptics were quick to say it was all just coincidence, or that our understanding of comets was incomplete. But doesn't every great discovery start with skeptics? Think about how electricity, germs, and even the idea of flying machines were once dismissed as impossible. What if Oumuamua is simply our generation's wake-up call that the universe is far more complex than we're ready to admit? Doesn't it make you wonder what else might be zipping through the cosmos, escaping our detection? In the end, Oumuamua's unexplained acceleration became one of its most compelling mysteries. It wasn't just a weird rock, it was acting with intention, or at least that's how it seemed. And this raised a daring question: what if it wasn't natural at all? What if this was evidence of something designed, something engineered? That's where one of Harvard's most controversial hypotheses entered the stage, and once you hear it, you won't see Oumuamua the same way again. When faced with mysteries too big to ignore, someone always dares to ask the question most are afraid of. In Oumuamua's case, that someone was Avi Loeb, a renowned professor from Harvard. Instead of sticking with the comet or asteroid labels, Loeb argued something bolder: what if Oumuamua was actually artificial? A relic, a probe, maybe even a piece of alien technology drifting through our solar system. Sounds like science fiction, right? But Loeb wasn't joking, he put his reputation on the line. And tell me, wouldn't you at least consider the possibility if the evidence refused to fit the usual boxes? Loeb suggested that Oumuamua's strange acceleration might make sense if it were powered by a light sail, a thin sheet pushed by the sun's radiation. That idea transformed Oumuamua from a random rock into a potential spacecraft. Imagine a giant sailboat riding invisible winds across the sea, only this ocean was the universe itself. Have you ever seen an idea so crazy that it actually made more sense than the so-called logical ones? Of course, the reaction was explosive. Many scientists dismissed the hypothesis as sensationalist, calling it a leap too far. They argued that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and Oumuamua simply didn't provide enough. But Loeb pushed back, insisting that science isn't about comfort, it's about chasing truth, even if it's uncomfortable. Haven't you ever felt that tug between playing it safe and daring to break the mold? That's exactly the crossroads where this debate landed. What made Loeb's claim even more intriguing was his credibility. This wasn't a random dreamer whispering about UFOs in a basement. This was a respected astrophysicist from one of the world's top universities. His willingness to stand by such a controversial idea gave Oumuamua mystery a new level of seriousness. Don't you think it's fascinating how one respected voice can flip an entire conversation upside down? It's proof that sometimes authority isn't about repeating the rules, it's about challenging them. Loeb also raised a bigger question: if Oumuamua was artificial, then who made it? Was it a functioning probe, still collecting data? Or just debris from a long-lost civilization, a cosmic bottle floating through interstellar waters? Either way, the implications were staggering. Imagine finding a single piece of pottery on a deserted island. You'd instantly know someone had been there before. Isn't that the same kind of hint Oumuamua could represent, but on a galactic scale? The debate spilled beyond scientific circles and into the public imagination. People wanted to believe, and Loeb gave them a framework to do so without sounding completely irrational. His book, interviews, and articles turned Oumuamua into a household name, sparking curiosity across the globe. Haven't you noticed how a good story has the power to change how we see reality? That's exactly what happened here. Oumuamua became less of a what and more of a who. But no matter where you stand on Loeb's theory, one thing became clear: Oumuamua wasn't just another rock. It had already etched its name into history as the first confirmed interstellar object to enter our solar system. That fact alone set it apart. And as scientists debated whether it was natural or artificial, one undeniable truth remained: it was the first messenger from beyond. But what kind of message was it carrying? That's the next piece of this story. Oumuamua wasn't just mysterious because of its shape or motion, it held a far greater title. It was the very first confirmed interstellar object to ever enter our solar system. That means it didn't come from our cosmic neighborhood at all. It had traveled light years, crossing the vastness between stars, only to pass briefly by our sun. Think about that. For billions of years, the solar system spun in its own rhythm, and suddenly, a stranger from another star appeared. Doesn't it make you wonder how many more travelers like it have slipped by unnoticed? Astronomers compared its journey to finding a message in a bottle washed up on shore. You can't help but ask, where did it come from, and who sent it? Oumuamua's speed and trajectory showed it wasn't bound by our sun's gravity, so once it left, it was gone for good. It was a one-time visitor, a fleeting guest we couldn't chase. Haven't you ever met someone for just a brief moment, yet their presence stayed with you forever? That's exactly how Oumuamua feels in the story of humanity's encounter with the stars. Its interstellar origins also meant that Oumuamua carried secrets of distant systems, places we may never reach. Every atom of it had been shaped in a world we've never seen, forged under stars we don't yet know by name. Imagine holding a pebble in your hand, only to discover it came from an entirely different continent. Wouldn't that rock suddenly feel like treasure? That's how extraordinary this discovery was. It gave us physical proof that our cosmic backyard isn't isolated. The fact that Oumuamua came from elsewhere also reminded us of something humbling. The universe is constantly in motion, constantly exchanging material. It's like a grand cosmic river, carrying debris, dust, and maybe even artifacts, from one star to another. Haven't you ever wondered if life itself could travel this way? If so, Oumuamua might not just be a messenger of rock and ice, but of possibilities far beyond imagination. For many, Oumuamua symbolized connection. It wasn't just an object passing by, it was a bridge, proof that what exists out there can one day reach in here. Just the thought of holding on to something that had crossed interstellar space captured imaginations everywhere. And let's be honest, doesn't the idea of a messenger suggest intention? The very word makes you pause. If this was a messenger, then what was the message? Scientists tried to decode it through numbers and equations, but the emotional weight hit the public in another way. This wasn't just a discovery, it was a reminder that we're part of something bigger, something vast and interconnected. Haven't you ever felt small under a starry sky, and yet somehow more connected than ever? That's what Oumuamua did. It shrunk us, but also expanded us, in the same breath. Yet, as quickly as it appeared, Oumuamua was gone, racing back into interstellar space. We were left with more questions than answers. What secrets did it carry that we'll never uncover? Was it just debris, or truly a crafted messenger? And if this was the first one we noticed, how many others have already slipped past us in silence? These mysteries still haunt scientists today, because Oumuamua wasn't just the first, it was also a sign that there are still countless riddles out there waiting. Oumuamua may have left our skies, but the questions it raised are still very much alive. Scientists are still scratching their heads over what it truly was. Was it rock, ice, or something entirely new to physics? Its shape, motion, and acceleration all remain unsolved puzzles. Imagine finishing a 1,000-piece puzzle only to find the last 5 pieces don't fit anywhere. Doesn't that make you wonder if maybe you've been building the wrong picture all along? That's the kind of shockwave Loeb's proposal sent through the scientific world. One of the biggest mysteries is its origin. Where exactly did Oumuamua come from? Tracing its path backwards proved tricky. It was moving too fast and had traveled too far. It might have been ejected from a distant star system millions of years ago, wandering through the galaxy until it stumbled across ours. But if that's the case, how many more objects like it are roaming in the dark? Haven't you ever wondered how many visitors have passed us by unnoticed, slipping through the shadows? Then there's the question of its structure. Was Oumuamua solid, or was it something more delicate, like a shard of cosmic dust held together in strange ways? Some argued it could even be a fragment of a destroyed planet or a shattered world from another solar system. Think about it, if you pick up a seashell on the beach, you know it once belonged to something larger. Could Oumuamua be the same, a tiny clue to a much bigger story out there in the stars? And what about its strange acceleration? To this day, no natural explanation fully satisfies all the data. No gas jets, no visible tail, no ordinary cause. It's as if the object refused to play by the same rulebook that governs every other comet and asteroid we know. Doesn't that sound like a cosmic riddle, the kind designed to keep us questioning? Sometimes the absence of evidence is the loudest clue of all. Another lingering mystery is why Oumuamua was the first we ever noticed. The universe is billions of years old. Interstellar objects must have passed through our neighborhood countless times before. So why now? Why this one? And why with such unusual properties? Haven't you ever thought about how timing itself can feel like a message? Maybe this was just chance, or maybe chance isn't the whole story. For many scientists, Oumuamua is a symbol of humility. It shows how little we know about the vastness beyond our solar system. Every theory so far is just that, a theory. And each new idea sparks even more questions. Isn't that the heart of curiosity, though? The more answers we chase, the more we realize how endless the unknown really is. It's both frustrating and thrilling, like standing at the edge of a forest you can't yet enter. So here we are, left with mysteries that science hasn't cracked open yet. Oumuamua remains a cosmic enigma, a visitor that refused to explain itself. And maybe that's the point, sometimes mystery is what pushes us forward, urging us to keep looking, keep questioning. But Oumuamua didn't just puzzle scientists, it also captured the imagination of the world. Its impact didn't stop at science, it spilled into culture, art, and even fiction. And that's where the story takes an even more fascinating turn. Oumuamua didn't just stir astronomers, it sparked imaginations around the globe. The media latched onto it like wildfire, spinning headlines that blurred the line between science and science fiction. People couldn't resist the thought of a mysterious visitor from another star system. Haven't you noticed how a mystery can travel faster than the facts themselves? That's exactly what happened here. Oumuamua leapt from telescopes into living rooms, transforming into a story the whole world wanted to tell. Writers, filmmakers, and artists jumped at the chance to weave Oumuamua into their work. Novels portrayed it as a silent messenger, films hinted at alien probes, and even comic books gave it a starring role. It became the perfect canvas for imagination, because its unanswered questions begged to be filled with stories. Isn't it fascinating how the unknown pulls creativity out of us, almost like it's begging to be understood? Oumuamua became not just an object, but a muse. Pop culture treated Oumuamua like a cosmic Rorschach test. For some, it symbolized hope, maybe proof that we're not alone. For others, it stirred fear, what if it meant we were being watched? And for many, it was simply wonder, the kind of awe that reminds us of how small we are in the universe. Haven't you ever noticed how one story can make people feel completely opposite emotions? That's the power of a mystery, it reflects back whatever we already carry inside. Scientists, too, felt the cultural pressure. Suddenly, their research wasn't just in academic journals, it was on front-page news. They had to answer questions from reporters, students, and everyday people curious about this cosmic visitor. The scientific process was unfolding in real time under the world's gaze. Isn't that a bit like cooking with an audience watching every move? It can be stressful, but it also brings energy, urgency, and excitement. Oumuamua also reminded humanity of its timeless fascination with the stars. For centuries, people have looked upward, weaving myths and legends about what lies beyond. From ancient sailors using constellations as maps to modern filmmakers crafting tales of alien encounters, the cosmos has always been our canvas. Doesn't it feel like Oumuamua is simply the latest chapter in a story humanity has been writing for thousands of years? A chapter where science and myth collide. What's striking is how Oumuamua blurred the boundary between fact and fiction. It showed us that science isn't just cold data, it's alive with wonder, drama, and mystery. Theories turned into headlines, headlines turned into art, and art fed back into curiosity. Haven't you noticed how stories don't just explain the world, but shape how we experience it? Oumuamua reminded us that sometimes the unknown is more powerful than any answer. And so, its cultural impact continues. Even after leaving our solar system, Oumuamua still lingers in books, films, podcasts, and conversations. It's become a symbol of the unknown, a spark for creativity, and a bridge between science and imagination. But while culture embraced the mystery, it also stirred a deeper question: if Oumuamua might be a messenger, what if we're not truly alone? And that thought leads us straight into the most profound question of all. Oumuamua's arrival didn't just challenge physics, it forced us to confront a timeless question: what if we're not alone? For centuries, humans have looked up at the stars, wondering if someone else might be looking back. Oumuamua was like a whisper from the cosmos, a reminder that the universe is vast, ancient, and filled with possibilities. Haven't you ever stared at the night sky and felt both small and infinite at the same time? That's the same feeling Oumuamua stirred deep within us. If Oumuamua were just a rock, it would still be extraordinary, proof of material crossing between star systems. But if there's even a tiny chance it was artificial, then everything changes. That possibility redefines humanity's place in the cosmos. Imagine discovering a footprint in the sand on a deserted beach, you'd instantly know you weren't the first to walk there. Doesn't the thought give you chills? The same thought rippled through millions of minds when Oumuamua passed by. The idea of not being alone is both thrilling and terrifying. On one hand, it fills us with wonder, proof that the universe is alive with intelligence. On the other, it forces us to face questions we might not be ready for. Who are they? What do they want? And why now? Haven't you ever hesitated to open a door because you weren't sure what was waiting on the other side? That's the crossroads Oumuamua put us at, the threshold between comfort and revelation. Culturally, the thought resonates because it ties into our oldest myths. From gods descending from the heavens to stories of beings guiding us from the stars, humanity has always dreamed of company beyond Earth. Oumuamua made those dreams feel a little less like fantasy. Isn't it fascinating how an object millions of miles away can make us feel connected, like we're part of a story much bigger than ourselves? Philosophers and scientists alike debated the implications. If we're not alone, what does that mean for religion, for politics, for our sense of purpose? Would it unite humanity under one banner, or divide us further? Haven't you ever noticed how the unknown can bring out both the best and the worst in us? That's the paradox: we crave answers, but we also fear what those answers might reveal. Oumuamua didn't solve the question, but it did something almost more powerful: it forced us to keep asking. Every telescope pointed skyward now carries a new weight, a new urgency. What if the next messenger arrives tomorrow, or the day after? Would we be ready to recognize it for what it is? Or would we dismiss it, just as so many dismissed Oumuamua's strangeness? The universe may already be speaking, but are we truly listening? And so the mystery lingers, hanging in the air like a question we can't quite shake. Oumuamua may be gone, but the echo of its passage remains. What if it was just the first of many? What if the story of humanity is about to expand in ways we can't yet imagine? Haven't you always felt, deep down, that the night sky was trying to tell you something? Maybe, just maybe, Oumuamua was the beginning of that conversation. Oumuamua came and went in the blink of an eye, yet it left a mark that might last forever. It wasn't just about whether it was a comet, an asteroid, or an alien artifact, it was about the bigger question it forced us to face. What does it mean for us, as humans, if the universe is sending messengers our way? Haven't you ever wondered if maybe we've been looking at the stars not just with curiosity, but with an instinct that something, or someone, might be looking back? The truth is, Oumuamua reminded us that we don't have all the answers. It reminded us that the cosmos is still full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. And maybe that's the lesson. We're not meant to settle for certainty, but to keep questioning, keep searching, keep expanding our sense of what's possible. Doesn't that make you wonder what other mysteries are racing toward us right now, unseen? So here's the challenge for you. If the universe is bigger and stranger than we imagined, how will you let that change the way you live your life today? Will you keep walking the same path, or will you dare to look beyond the obvious, to chase the unknown in your own journey? The stars might be far away, but the spirit of exploration begins inside you. And if this story made you think, even for a second, then don't let it stop here. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and share this with someone who also wonders about the mysteries of the universe. Because this is just one story, and trust me, there are many more waiting to be told.